can't see it. Okay, so with the worksheet, some of them were worded kind of tricky, and there were two specifically that the wording of them I think was kind of trying to mess you up. I may or may not go through. Sorry to whoever's watching this video, and I'm moving papers on my desk. I may or may not go through all the way to the answer for all of them, but I'm at least going to talk about how to set them up and everything. All right, so number one, let's just go through binomial geometric first. In number one, there were only two parts that were geometric. Which parts were those? A and C. I'm skipping the three. What were the two that were geometric in number three? E and F. Now, number two, I thought the A and B were the ones that were tricky worded here. So, number 2A, on average, how many men should the researcher expect to check to find someone who is colorblind? How many men should he check to expect to find someone who is? So, that's saying until the first success. So, that is what? Geometric. And then B, what is the probability that she won't find anyone colorblind among the first four? That's saying a number of successes of 0, not when you get the first. So that one's binomial, but I thought both of those were a little bit wording tricky, more so than the rest of them. And then number 2, C was binomial, D was binomial, E was geometric. All right, so setting these up, number 1A, we said this is geometric. So showing your work. Now, if this were a test, I would want to see, if like 1A was the only thing that was on there, I would want to see geometric. And then I would want to see P equals 0.18. And then I would want to see P, Y is what? Symbol number. Equals 5. Now, for this worksheet, this applies to all of number 1. So I'm not making you like write that out every single time. We've already written out geometric binomial. So I'm really just requiring you write the P parentheses Y equals 5 for this homework specifically. And then so when you plug that your calculator, I'm going to at least give answers for all of number 1 just so that we know we typed stuff in right. And you should get 0.0814. Any issues there? Let's just type it in. So is that a PDF or CDF? PDF because it's equal. 2B, there are some lefties. So there are some, this one was a little bit wording tricky too. There are some is the opposite of what? What is the opposite of saying there are some? There are none. Well, what do I do when I find the opposite of something? And so we said it's the opposite of there are none. So you're doing that for B. And I should have written before that X is greater than or equal to 1. Would I usually have written first. And then so when I plug it in for X equals 1 or X equals 0, get 0.1676. Subtracting that gives me 0.8324. On the test, I'll want you to end up circling your answers because it's going to be a lot of little written stuff. It's just easier to keep up with when I can tell what the answers are. Because some of you write your work a little bit differently than I do. Part C. This one says the first lefty is the 5th or the 6th. I do want to talk about writing this one because I want to make sure, I think I just heard my email, just in case anybody's listening and something's wrong. If you're on the Google Meet and you need to like jump in and talk, it doesn't bother me at all. So this one's 5 or 6. I'm imagining some of you didn't really know what to write here. If I think chapter 5, how would I write 5 or 6? What looking thing? And then, so what do I do with those two? Add them together. Now, because it's a y equals, I imagine like this is kind of a weird way to write it because y equals 5, but do I write it there or do I not? I'm okay with doing it the way I have it on the board. As long as I see this part for this problem, as long as I see that you're adding y equals 5 plus y equals 6, it's fine. And y equals 5 would have been 0.0814. This one would have been 0.0667 for a total of 1481. Part D, still binomial. This one was p parentheses x what? Equals 4. Your answer should have been 0.0490. For E, you should have done p parentheses x is what? Which means it is less than or equal to, so I can plug it directly in my calculator like that, 0.9385. F was asking, it started out with how many do you expect? So I'm finding what there? The mean. How do I find mean of binomial? My n was, p was 0.18 for a total of 1.62. And we talked about this yesterday. What can I write as my units? Some people are going to write lefties and some people are going to write people. Either one would technically be fine there because it's either 1.62 people are lefties or you have 1.62 lefties, so I don't care if your units are the generic or the specific. Standard deviation, what's my equation? Uh, 9.18, 0.82 gives us about 1.3284 match with units, whichever one you went with. And G, p parentheses x is what? How would I need to rewrite that one? Which gives me 1 minus 0.9875, which equals 0.0125. How do we feel about number 1? All right, some answer keys or answer with homework stuff, I'll just go over, like most of them I'll just go over in class. I think this one, if you've done number 1 correctly, you've done the rest correct. So instead of wasting 10 minutes to go through the answers, I'm going to post the answers. But do you have specific questions on anything number 2 or number 3 that you want me to do in class and not just the answer key? Then I'll post an answer key for 2 and 3 instead of wasting time to just write down stuff like that that would take me just as long to type out anyway. I don't want to split the video.